for a number of Kenyans. Our drinking culture as a country in recent years, though, has some questioning if there's more behind it than just a good time or blowing off steam. According to a WHO report, Kenyans' average daily intake in grams of pure alcohol was 30.4, which translated to roughly 2 glasses of wine, a large bottle of beer, or 2 shots of spirits. It also found that men drank 5 times more alcohol than women. Alcohol use, as we know, can become addictive and spiral into an uncontrollable problem for many. But beyond that, what are the mental health implications for those that abuse alcohol? Well, tonight, digital editor for Radio Africa Group, Oliver Madenge, joins me in studio to talk about his experience with alcohol abuse and the journey to recovery, as well as retired Major Lucy Wairimu, a psychologist who will help us unpack the mental health aspect in this last installment of our Mental Health Talk series this month. Thank you so much for joining me. Oliver, let me begin with you, because when we talk about alcohol abuse or drinking, it starts somewhere. You know, you didn't just begin probably binge drinking or abusing alcohol from the beginning. When would you say you probably started your relationship, for lack of a better term, with alcohol?
Thank you for having us here. And I would start by saying that it all started for me, I believe, slowly from home when I was young. But now the kind of drinking that I started drinking, it started in university. Okay. In campuses when I now became a regular drinker. Right. Yeah, and then after campus, when I started working, now I became even more regular, where it's a daily thing to do, and such. And yeah, basically that's where it all started.
So it became something constant when you started working. I remember hearing in a different forum where you shared about your struggle, and you said alcohol took a lot from you and it took control of you. Yes. Just talk about that process.
I think before coming to the recent past, I started my journey in terms of quitting and starting the clean life in December of 2017. Before that, I had gotten to a point where I was totally, I can say I was in slavery in terms of how I was handling alcohol. It was hard for me to function without alcohol. That means if in the morning I wake up and I have alcohol in the house, that would be probably the first thing I would take before I go to work. It got to a point where during the day at work, I would leave the office, go, like I'm going for lunch, actually not go for lunch, but go have a drink. And so it became a point where now I was so dependent to the extent that at any time that I had issues, whether it's family or work-wise, that was the first thing to do. Every evening when I left work, I would have to go and take a bottle or two, and it got to a point now, it started damaging my work. I didn't have the energy to do work. I couldn't concentrate at work at times. It got to a point where I could go to work either high or hungover. At times I could fail to go to work. Family-wise, I couldn't meet some of basics that I needed to for my family. And it got now to a point where I started digging a hole for myself, that I got actually into debt to finance my drinking, because I would go out and in the middle of the night I realized I'm out of cash. And well, luckily or unluckily, I knew some Sherlocks, and I could just text them and they could send me something, and I could end up paying up my bills. And so by the time I realized this thing was actually eating me up, socially, financially, even physically. I would get sick so many times. I would go to hospital a lot of times because first I wasn't eating well. and so my immune system was down.
Right.
And so when I realized this, I decided that I need to take a step. And I just decided, in the middle of a drink up with friends, I decided, this is my last beer. And that's how it started.
So you basically just quit cold turkey. There was no institution that you went, a program that you took.
No.
Just like that, you decided.
Yeah, I decided that. Then afterwards is when, after like I did my 100 days challenge, which I did on social media, and it was for me to keep away from alcohol for 100 days. And after the 100 days is when now I sought help, because I realized there were some other issues, especially from my past, that had contributed to these things. Coming from a family where your dad was also the same, had taken the same route, where your parents had separated when I was at a young age. I was in high school, and so there were some issues that I needed to deal with, and so that is when I started seeing someone and having that conversation, and that conversation is what actually helped me now start even talking more about it.
Right.
And at the same time, when I shared after the 100 days, and I shared that story about Once Upon a Bottle on social media, I got a lot of people who, come to your inbox, come to your DM on Instagram and all that. And I started having conversations with a lot of people who were going through the same things. And so I can say, I thank God that I actually spoke about it, because I think I probably have saved a life or two.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and it's so commendable, Oliver, that you were willing to share. Many people would think, let me just sort it out in private. People don't need to know about this part of my life. But Wairimu, let me bring you in, because Oliver mentioned something really important, which was after he did the 100 days of abstaining from alcohol, then he actually went for help to deal with some inner problems. And oftentimes, alcohol abuse can be a manifestation of something deeper that someone is dealing with. I mean, just talk more to that.
Thanks, Victoria, and thank you for sharing your story. I mean, thank you for sharing your story. I think it's a pretty powerful story, but the fact that you're just accepting to be vulnerable in a very open and public way, you're the kind of guy we need right now, honestly. So just to come back to what you're saying, alcohol is, in his case, the way he was using it, clearly he was using it as a numbing agent. He's not the first person to do it. He's not the only person who does it. I have done it, and so have so many other Kenyans, and it's a universal concept that, we use alcohol to numb. And I like that you've said after the 100 days of your cold turkey, you sought professional help because you understood this is not about your relationship with the alcohol. And I love that you called it a relationship, because that's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. I mean, if you wake up in the morning and the first thing you think about is alcohol, if you get some money and the first thing you think about is alcohol, if before you go to bed, the last thing you think about is alcohol, if everything around you, you prioritize and alcohol is at the top of your list, it is a relationship, And I think it is a wise thing that you saw a therapist. I like that people say somebody. Nobody says therapist. I'm sure you saw a therapist. You didn't see like a pastor or sijui or what. You saw somebody who helped you to unpack the emotional, cognitive, to some extent, the spiritual aspects that had been dependent on a chemical that was helping you to suppress, to numb, to cope. And in the long run, I think like many of us, you came to realize it's a road to nowhere.
Yeah, true.
Yes. So it happens a lot. And I think why it's so important that he is talking about it is because, in this country, the overconsumption of alcohol is normalized. I mean, we have to call it out. This is not just about, socializing. We've made it into a lifestyle, and especially what you're saying, like it's something that came from home. We are socializing our children that way. We were socialized that way. But there is also the concept of genetic loading, which is what you alluded to when you're talking about your dad was the same way. And it's very important for people to be able to realize that there are genetic components, environmental components that contribute towards all that. But I think the most important thing about your story as well is that, again, there is redemption. Yeah. Somebody can be able to lift themselves out of addiction, dependence, by themselves with professional assistance, and extend that grace to other people and enable them to actually emancipate themselves from that kind of suffering. And I think it's so important to talk about, because somebody will say, but I don't drink, I only smoke weed. Same difference. Somebody will say, I don't drink, I don't smoke weed, I only shop. Same difference. I don't smoke weed, I don't shop, I don't drink alcohol, I'm just ever in church. Same difference. You get? Like whatever it is that you're doing, that if you stop doing, then you feel anxious, or it, you know, interrupts your ability to go about your day, that's a problem. Right. You know, if it comes before everything else that is important to you, that's a problem. Right. If you try to, like, you know, if you try to stop it, but you struggle with it, that's a problem. And maybe it's important for you to also mention that I'm sure you had made attempts to stop before.
Yes.
You had, like, contemplated, pre-contemplated, you had tried a lot of times. So my question to you is this, you know, because I also just became a teetotaler from 2014. I just made up my mind. I said, this is my last drink. This is my last cigarette. I'm done, you know? So what was your moment of reckoning? What is it that...
The turning point.
Right.
Yeah.
I think for me the turning point is the fact that first, a lot of people don't know, but I mentioned it before, that I attempted suicide twice. This is information. Yeah, I attempted to suicide twice, and the second time was close to that December when because at that point I was losing a lot. Yeah, I was losing a lot, and I felt that that's the point at which I decided, let me just try. And I told myself, let me challenge myself for once more for 100 days, and that's what I told myself, and see if I can actually stop.
But how did you actually get through the 100 days? Like, what made it successful? Because I know there's a lot of people watching, they're thinking, how? Without having gone through a program, was someone keeping you accountable?
You know, I think that's one of the questions, even for me, I find hard to answer. Yeah. Because a lot of people who know me, and a lot of people who I used to socialize with at that particular moment would tell you I was a person who gets into a bar at 5 in the evening on a Friday, and I will get home on Sunday.
Wow. Yeah. Sure. So you spend the whole weekend in the bar?
It used to happen so many times, and people used to actually ask questions, why is this guy not going home? And so for me, I knew I needed the company, the social company. And I've actually told a lot of people, don't try to do it my way.
Is that true?
Because this is my journey.
That's your journey, exactly.
Yeah. When you want to quit, you have to actually think about what can you sacrifice, first and foremost, and how can you manage? What else can you do that can help you get away from this? Right. Because you have to get, it's more of a weapon to fight. Yeah, and so for me, my weapon was that I went back to reading a lot. I started doing 2 books a month, and that kept me busy. Didn't keep my mind
on the alcohol. It took it off.
Yes.
Yeah, it's something more productive.
Then the other thing that I did is that I did not cut off going to where I used to socialize with people, but I always ensured that I'm taking my water, my juice.
So you'd still put yourself in those situations?
Yes, because I always told myself, if I go to the place where I'm tempted the most, that's where I can fight the most.
That's interesting, because most people literally stay clear of the bar or anywhere else.
So I used to still hang out with my friends, and I told them they have to respect the fact that I'm taking my water and my juice or my tea.
And I have to ask, after the 100 days, after you went through the counseling, did you start drinking again, or you completely left it?
My last drink was on 28th December of 2017.
Amazing. And you know, Wairimu, I have to ask you this. You know, for families watching who are dealing with a loved one, not as brave as Oliver to actually make that bold step to say enough is enough. And they're looking and they're wondering, what do we do? How do we even begin this process of getting help for our loved one? How do they begin that process and even talking to their loved ones to get them out of their hole?
I mean, for me, I would say the thing that keeps people stuck in those cycles is judgment and constant badgering. I see you're nodding, you know what I'm saying. You know, that constant badgering, you know, judgment and, you know, just all out disregard. Yeah. So, I mean, for me, my approach is always the loving and firm approach. I just want to talk a little bit about what Oliver has said, only because withdrawal from alcohol is actually the only one that can kill somebody, because it can send somebody into like epileptic fits. And it's important to mention that, because somebody tonight might decide, I am going cold turkey. With alcohol, it's not the same like heroin or cocaine, you know, where you go cold turkey, you vomit, diarrhea, you sweat, and you know, it's all over. Alcohol is dangerous. I think we have seen the same stories of caution in Kiambu and Mombasa, where people actually died. Wow. So even as people think about withdrawing from alcohol, depending on, you know, the kind of tolerance that you've been able to accumulate over the years, it is important information to have. And you know, the thing about the cycle of alcoholism or any other form of addiction is that the person must believe at the core that they deserve to be punished. Yes. True or false, Oliver?
True.
Yeah? That they deserve to be punished. You know, so to be able to again put somebody through a process where it unnecessarily hurts them, it is cruel. It's not going to be productive, because the person already thinks of themselves as so worthless. Their self-worth is down, their self-esteem is down, and then now you're going to pay for being an addict. You want to withdraw, let it hurt. That never goes anywhere. That's why I continuously advocate for the most compassionate ways of being able to help people to withstand the withdrawal symptoms. And of course, there's a conversation that's going on there. Oliver, because you're here, I just have to ask you, what were your withdrawal symptoms? Delirium tremens, of course. Did you have nightmares?
And before you answer, sorry, really quickly, we have a caller on the line who wants to make a comment or even have a question for our two guests. Dixon from Kangemi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great. What is your comment or question?
Okay, my name is Nixon. Yeah?
Yes, go ahead.
My name is Nixon. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I want to ask just one question.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, from my friend there, because even me, I used to drink. Yeah. Hello.
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay, I just wanted to know how am I going to stop to be socialized with my friends?
So
because I wanted, yeah?
You'd want to stop drinking is what you're asking?
Yeah, I wanted to stop drinking, but the problem is with my friends. How am I going?
Okay, so your problem is peer pressure.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's put that question to Wairimu, and then of course Oliver, you can also speak to that as well.
I mean, peer pressure is real. You know, I remember when I stopped drinking, I was still in the military, and I used to be told, oh, you're not drinking? Have a carton of juice, like overkill. You're not drinking? have a crate of soda.
People bully you.
Yeah.
People bully you. You
So
know?
they tease and mock you for...
Right,
Yeah.
right. But, you know, he said it's Dixon. Dixon from
Kangemi, yes.
Dixon from Kangemi. Where is he? You're saying that the problem with my friends, there's no problem with your friends. The issue is with you. If you want to quit drinking, smoking, smoking weed, if you want to change, the thing that needs to change is you. So avoid your friends. They are slippery. Avoid where they hang out. Create a new reality for yourself, okay? And you are going to be fine. The problem is not your friends, it is you.
All right, I hope he heeds that advice. And Oliver, you're actually going to talk about the withdrawal symptoms that you went through when you quit.
Yes, and just to add to Dixon about just before that, is that don't be afraid of your friends.
Right.
Actually, a lot of my friends are the ones who helped me because they were very supportive. So just help them understand that it's a decision that you yourself has made, and you are not, and you have to go through it. And don't be afraid of losing friends. I lost a lot of people who I thought were friends.
Yeah.
Some I have not talked. For the last 1 year, I have not talked to some of them because they were not really friends. They were just drinking buddies.
Drinking buddies.
Because you weren't sharing anything beyond a drink.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But for withdrawal symptoms, it's that I got to a point where I couldn't sleep. You see, I was used to being out there a whole night.
Right.
So on a Saturday night, I was wondering, what am I doing in the house?
Right.
You know? So I had problems with sleep, and that came with a lot of headaches.
Right.
I used to have migraines a lot. The first week I had a lot of, I used to get a lot of nausea and vomiting.
Right.
The first week.
Wow.
Actually, the first 2 weeks were hard. I actually was giving up.
Right.
I was giving up. But what I used to tell myself is that I need something that tastes or feels like, you know. So I used to take soda water. Because it's harsh on my mouth.
So it gives you a bit of that taste.
So it's more of a psychological thing more than... and that's what I used to do.
Yeah.
Wow. Another caller. Isaac from Thika, go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to talk about the issue.
I beg your pardon, could you repeat that?
Yeah, I'm talking about the friend issue.
Yeah, we can't seem to hear you, Isaac. Can you say that again?
I would like to say about the friend issue.
The friend issue, yes.
Yeah, and I can say among campus students, they are being influenced through friends. So friends make a major decision in taking part of taking drugs.
Right, so friends definitely are a huge determining factor whether you'll be successful or not in dropping the habit of drinking. And let me move the conversation a bit more, Wairimu, in terms of getting help. A lot of people complain that you'll go to an institution, you'll go to a rehab center, and a lot of times they're very exclusive and very expensive. So it's not practical for someone who can't afford however much they charge to be able to get the help they need. What other options are there out there? And what would you say is the ideal in terms of the public health system addressing alcoholism here? Well,
I think, first of all, admitting that dependence is a mental health issue. And when we categorize it from a systemic point of view as to how we are treating mental health care in this country, of course we could be doing more, but we are not. People in the private sector are the ones who have taken a larger initiative to come up with programs that support people. So of course they are going to charge more than the average person would be able to afford. But in as far as the public facilities that are there, we know that they're there, just that there is such a long line that people are backed up and they cannot be able to get help immediately. They come to the resolve of wanting to live sober lives. And I think that could be interrupting the recovery of a lot of people because they don't have a place to go to. Because sometimes it does take somebody getting into a new environment where they can be able to go and lay down the habits, the thinking, the feelings that they had before that were supporting that behavior, and help them to build a resilience that will help to incorporate them back into the environment that they're going back to. So yeah, it's a huge problem. And I wouldn't worry so much about expense, because I've seen people go to the most expensive rehabs and they have relapsed on the day they leave they leave rehab. So the idea of going sober is such a personal decision that somebody has to be able to walk the talk and, you know, be able to rally people around them who will be able to support them. Institutions are good, I don't deny that. We could be doing a lot more to provide programs that help people to do that. And of course, outreach programs, drop-in programs, outpatient programs. You know, I have worked in such like those ones early on in my career, and it helped reach out to a lot of people, you know, to be able to have, you know, free sessions. Like I know there's a Nairobi timetable for Alcoholic Anonymous. There's, have you ever gone for AA, by the way?
No.
No.
You've never gone for AA? Wow, that's cool. I don't know if it's cool.
It's his journey.
Yeah, it's his journey, yeah. So, so those are out there. But I think, you know, this issue of friends keeps coming up. And I've seen the peer pressure be there for teenagers, but also for even for people like 60, 70 years old, I'll be honest.
Absolutely.
You know, because I think we are also caught up in this whole thing of image and how we want to be seen and how, you know, we have to conform and how we have to be seen to be with it, you know, that sort of thing. But we must also admit that, yes, people also don't want to be lonely. People feel like if I leave this group, I'm going to be lonely. I am not going to do that. So, you know, that drinking culture has also given people a sense of belonging, but they only realize they don't belong because you need a ticket to get in there. And once you, for example, lack the title, the rank, the position, the money, you no longer belong to that group. So you cannot hang out with us, and you realize it was fake, all fake all along, you know, and you still end up alone, you know. So it's something worth thinking about, even in terms of numbing the things that we don't want to deal with that come from a long way, a long history, you know, like childhood trauma and what, you know, Oliver was talking about so candidly. Oliver, are you still suicidal?
No, I have been able to handle my depression.
Okay.
And with the help of professionals. I haven't done it on my own. But also I've read a lot about mental health.
Right.
And I always encourage people to read a lot about it. I think one of the other things that I think in this country we really need to do is open that conversation from the family level. Let's, especially for young boys, let's not raise them the way we were raised. You know, for us, crime was a crime. You know, at times tell them it's okay to feel sometimes some type of emotions. Even as for men have to come and start realizing that the best option for you to deal with issues is not to run away from your home and go to the bar. You know, you need to face some of these issues. When you are going through depression, you need to seek help. And also as friends or colleagues, we also have to get to a point where we are able to be anchors to each other. The other day someone was telling me, my friend is depressed, but I don't know how to talk to them.
Right.
You see, and probably they are waiting for you to talk to them.
Right.
So don't be afraid of initiating the conversations. Because I think one of the things that I've learned over the last 1 year is that once someone starts the conversation, people are able to open up.
Because it gives them permission.
Yes, it gives you permission. Because you see, for some people, especially when someone is going through stress, depression, or anxiety, most of the times they don't have the will to talk. for instance, for me, what I used to do is that since it has been a battle that last, especially 2018.
Yeah.
And what used to happen to me is that I used to lock myself away.
You used to isolate yourself. Yeah.
I would even switch off my phones and isolate myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
It actually happened even this year.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And people got worried about it because I'm very expressive, so I express myself. Then all of a sudden, my phone is off, and I've shut out everyone.
Right.
Yeah. So at times, is just make that attempt if you feel that something is nudging you to talk to your friends. It's very important.
Yeah. So
and
actually respond to
that's one of the ways we are able to deal with mental health in this country, because that's what people are doing is they are bottling up issues, and because they are afraid or they don't want to talk to someone,
right?
Even the closest of them, of the people, you know, one of the things that I always tell people, we as a society, especially for us men, we have a very dismissive attitude.
Yes.
Where I need stress to
Exactly.
No, not even that.
Or you try to self-medicate somehow.
Watch your mama.
Exactly.
I hate that comment.
Such comments. Such comments do not help at all.
I know they don't. I mean, for me, I'm hugely concerned by how intolerant we are towards vulnerability. You know? It's crazy, because what is happening is that people are ending up suppressing their genuine and true emotions. And what we know about emotions is that they don't like ooze out of your skin through sweat. You know, at some point or another, they'll show up. In a different situation to a different person. You will project, you will do all those things, you know. But I also want to say that it's not just in men, you know, even in women. Oh my God, you're so emotional. What? We are emotional people. Like,
you're just seeking attention.
You're just seeking attention. I'm like, are you for real? Like, you're just supposed to keep quiet, be stoic, you know, and if anything happens, you're unfazed.
So we have to change how we respond to people expressing their mental burdens. Let's listen in from our last caller, Vincent from South B, I believe.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm first of all very excited about the topic that you're handling. The issue of Kenyans drinking and, you know, thinking it's a lifestyle. I have been through that life, and I can tell you it is never... it is not much of peer pressure per se. But I think majority of the people are feeling like they are living a lifestyle, not realizing the damage they are causing to themselves. In most cases, many men or women would actually go out drinking to befriend, or rather to have friends.
Yes, socialize.
But in most cases, they end up losing their lives worth because of those so-called friends. I remember when I was planning my wedding at one point, I was a drunk. And 3/4 of the time, these people would show me that we are actually together. Until the time I was doing my final preparations for my wedding, and those people were nowhere to be found. Nowadays, you meet them and they are not there because they were there for a purpose. To keep you company when you're out there. So I would encourage the young men out there to, number one, reason with themselves the kind of friends they're going out and what their future would be out of those friends.
All right, great point there. Thank you so much for calling in, Vincent. And as we get our final thoughts from the guests, I want to hear from you, Oliver, in terms of what keeps you going, because when you've made such a decision like that to walk away from something that you had a long relationship with, and oftentimes the fear of, will I relapse, will I go back, sets in. How do you overcome that, and what kind of motivates you to keep moving to the next day?
I think one of the things I can say is I got what I can call my ammunition against my alcohol dependency, and also how to deal with my mental health. And one of the things that I do is that right now I concentrate on the things that I love the most. I love reading, I love writing, and those are the two things that keep me occupied. And at the same time, I got this urge to, that's why I keep talking, that's why I accepted your invitation, because I got this urge to continue talking about these things whenever I can. Because I think that's one of the ways that probably I will help another brother or a sister who is out there who probably is struggling with, because there are a lot of people who the number of people that I have talked to over the last one year, the people who have quit over the last 1 year, it's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. There are those who have quit, then they have gone back. There are those who have successfully, since I started talking about this. So
that was after your post on...
Yes.
Wow.
So that keeps motivating me. Telling me that I have actually taken the right path.
Right.
And one of the other things is that I am healthier. I'm healthier. I think the whole of last year, I think I went to hospital once.
Wow.
Yeah. Other than for checkups, but basically being sick. The other thing is that other than being healthy is that I'm focused in my work. Over what I've achieved in the last 1 year, I'm so sure I wouldn't have achieved if I had continued in that path.
Sure.
I've recovered in terms of my debts and almost done to clear everything that I owe out there. And for me, that's motivation enough for me to, and my relationships are back to where they're supposed to be.
Right.
Especially with my family, because I had actually broken them totally. Yeah.
Wow, a story of liberation and restoration as well. It's
Redemption
amazing.
is real.
Yes.
Redemption is a verb. Thank you, Oliver. I think I feel like I almost don't want to add on to what you're saying, but I think it's important for me to, just highlight the overarching issue to do with dependence, as plugging into the whole mental health conversation, and how, even as we talk about being a drinking nation, everybody there goes to work, has a family and all those things. And I'll come back to what for me has been very important, which is where most adults spend their time, which is at work. And the fact that even at work, creating those opportunities and environments that can help people cope with their mental health continue to be something that is being stressed. That's where people spend most of their time. That is the justification that people use for, oh, I'm overworked, I'm stressed, I have a deadline to beat, So I think at the workplaces, a lot can be done to help people who would want to reach out for that kind of help. So thank you, Victoria, as well. It's been an amazing month. It's been Mental Health Month.
Absolutely.
Raising awareness and stopping stigma. I think you guys have gone a really long way to make that possible. So thank you.
It's exactly what this platform is for. Thank you so much, Oliver and Wairimu, for coming in, being candid and open, and just continuing this conversation, which is so important. Talk. If you're being burdened. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for calling in, as well to our viewers who shared their experiences. Keep the conversation going on social media. Tweet me at Vicky Rubadiri, and of course using the hashtag #CitizenWeekend. Have a wonderful evening. I'll see you again tomorrow evening on Sunday Live.